Welcome to today's yoga flow. We are going to be keeping it in our low and rejuvenating for our evening practice. So we are starting in a seated position. I'm sitting up on a block. You can have a cushion, blanket, roll up a towel if that feels comfortable for you, and just finding a position just to come into, just to mark the beginning of our practice. So maybe closing the eyes or just having a soft gaze down. And as you still the body, just noticing what your posture is like today. Noticing if you're leaning forward, leaning back. And just making really small little adjustments. Trying to have your head over your heart, over your hips. Maybe have the hands resting on the legs, or they might be palms up. Tonight's practice, we are going to be keeping it low, but also creating a little bit of energy. Though we've lost an hour here in the Eastern time, going to make the most of this swift practice tonight and help us get ready for the next week. So we are going to be, focus is the theme today. So even if as you're sitting upright here, just focusing on maybe where your feet touching the floor. Maybe bringing your attention to the hands. Then taking that focus inwards. Noticing the rhythm of the breath. Not judging or trying to change it, just noticing what's happening right now. And as we practice, let's see, we can just, again, watch and see the pattern of our breath. Bringing your attention now to take a big conscious breath. And then breathing out with the mouth. A couple more. We're going to breathe in the nose if you can. And breathing out. Big breath in through the nose. And breathing out. Opening the eyes. We're going to bring the arms, as we inhale, just bring them up to a T by our sides, and then inhaling, letting them come down. Just a few more like that. Maybe raising the palms up as we inhale, and then turning as they exhale down. Inhale, and exhale down. A couple more like that. If you would like to have a bit more range of motion in those shoulders, if that's available, inhaling, palms maybe touch, and then exhale, floating down. Inhaling, maybe looking up, and exhale, coming down. Inhale, and coming down. On our next time our arms come up, as we inhale, we're going to float over so that left hand's coming onto the right knee, right hand behind us, and just twisting over that right shoulder gently. Inhale, coming up. And exhale, twisting over to the other side. Staying here for a cycle. Coming back to center. And hands coming down. If you are on a block or cushion, just coming off that for the moment. Coming to sit on our bottom, feet just a bit further away, trying to keep them hip distance. We are going to engage a little bit of the core here, but we're still staying nice and low. So you can either have your hands by your sides, you can have them a little bit further back, really trying to maintain, again, that spinal integrity nice and straight. So we're just maybe leaning back, and even just this motion, just noticing, activating that core. You might want to then come back up once you've sort of got the hang of it, and you might want to grab behind those legs and just then maybe start to see if you can balance, and then coming down. And you don't have to lift the feet up either. That's absolutely optional. We are going to then just hold that if you can, if you need a break. If you notice you're not breathing, that's always a good sign to maybe take the edge off a little bit. You can always release the hands, even if it's just for a second. Again, really trying to think about that chest nice and open. And let's release it. Whew. Coming, leaning forward. Hello, core. Hello, Sunday. Whew. All right, getting ready, a little bit more of that. So again, reorganizing yourself. Nice straight back, engaging that core, chest nice and open. And then maybe lifting up those feet, hugging behind the thighs. And option to have the arms out if that's feeling comfortable for you. Really focusing again on that nice straight spine all the way from the bottom all the way up through the crown of the head. And relaxing. Whew. Wonderful. We're going to straighten out those legs now. Give them a little bit of a shake. And we're going to then bring the sole of the right foot in. So it's touching the inside of that left thigh. Again, nice and tall, long in that spine. And then maybe reaching, again, with that open chest over to those left toes. Always that option here to bend that left knee. If you're feeling any tightness or pressure there. Nice big breaths here. For a long time, I couldn't breathe through my nose. So if you can't breathe through your nose, obviously our mouth is there as well. All these things take practice. Coming up, swap that over. So let the right leg come out nice and long. Bring the left sole of the foot into that right inside thigh. Again, nice and tall in that spine. And then as we sort of reaching over towards those right toes, bending that right knee as much as you need to. Don't need to lock out there. You might notice that at different times of the day, you have different flexibility. That's really normal. Just noticing again where you are right now, any modifications or adjustments that might be helpful. And checking that you're still breathing, not holding that breath. Sometimes we try and hold our breath hope that it finishes faster, but often it just makes everything much more difficult. Let's come up. Going to come now, bring both soles of the feet together. So in our bound angle. Again, nice and tall in that spine. And you might stay here. And again, if that's really intense in those hips, you can always have the feet further away from the pelvis, bringing them closer in for a more intense hip and groin opening there. And staying here, or maybe folding forward if that's comfortable. Nice deep breaths here. Definitely got a bit excited thinking that, summer's here. It was a bit warmer today. But it was actually really muggy and ended up getting stuck in the rain, caught in the rain a few times. That's okay. It's just water. Bringing the hands to the outsides of those knees and just bringing the knees back to touch. And we're going to come over to all fours. Any graceful transition there. Bringing those hands underneath the shoulders, knees under the hips. You can have your toes tucked under if you like, or you can have just on the tops of your feet. And as we inhale, looking up, opening across that chest. And then exhale, arching the back into cat. Inhaling here. And exhale. Inhaling again. And exhale. Coming back to a nice neutral spine. We're going to bring those right toes nice and straight behind us, maybe rocking back and forth. And then drawing a little circle with those big toes of the right foot off the edge behind that left foot, looking over at the big toes. Getting that stretch all down that right side. And then bringing those right toes back onto the knee. Straightening out that left foot on those toes. And then drawing that circle, half circle, all the way off the mat, behind the right toes, and looking over at those left toes, over the right shoulder. Coming back to center. Let's bring the knees nice and wide, bring the toes to touch here. And we're just going to rest back into that extended child's pose. Just taking a bit of a break off those wrists. Coming back to the breath. Maybe closing the eyes here. Seeing if you can focus on, while you're in this pose, where do you feel the movement? Can you experiment by deepening the breath? Feel the ribs expanding and then contracting. All right, coming back up to tabletop again. Maybe just shaking out those hips, always nice. Any movement that feels good here. Again, you're at home, you can practice any way that feels comfortable and good for your body right now. And again, if you want to stay there in extended child's pose, if that was serving you, then go right ahead. Otherwise, we're joining back in tabletop here. We're going to straighten and lift up those right feet, nice long line here. And we're going to bring that into the core. A little bit more of core. Hello there. Inhale nice and long. Maybe have that opposite hand outstretched as well. And exhale as you bring it in. Inhaling and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, let's hold that. Imagine being as long as you can, trying to reach. And then bringing that back down. And again, resetting if you do need to sort of sit back. Maybe do a few little circles if you're feeling that intense in the wrist here. And preparing for the second side. So then that left foot that's coming up, nice and long as you get that balance. And then as you exhale, bringing it in. Inhale nice and long, option for that right arm to come up. And exhale into center. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And even here, they're again really trying to focus on squeezing that core. Feel that. So you inhale long and last time, holding that balance and bringing it back. Lovely. We are going to come down now onto the ground. So lowering down. I'm coming here into our Sphinx pose. So I've got my elbows underneath the shoulders, hands are nice and flat on the ground. You can always have, if that does feel a bit too intense, you can always have the elbows a bit further away from the body. Stretching here and across the back. Maybe raising the chin a little. And again here, focusing on that breath, maybe moving us. And allowing those elbows to come out and then just coming down. Resting one hand on top of the other. Bringing the head down. And keeping that left leg nice and long behind us, we're going to open out and then lift sort of that, like that knee. So it's coming straight out from the right hip and keeping a nice 90-degree angle. So 90-degree angle. So you're sort of making like a square with the lower leg and the upper leg. And again, here we're stretching into that right hip. If that's feeling too intense, you can always just have the knee a bit further away from the top of the mat. Once you find a position, you could always have a pillow underneath that knee as well, if you're on a hard floor, because it has come off that mat. So using any props around you to help you in your practice. Last breath here. And as you exhale, allow those that right leg to come back and join the left. Maybe if you had you on your left ear before, coming over onto the right ear, and then bringing that left knee up, creating again that 90-degree angle, that box sort of shape, and opening up into that left hip here. And if the mind is wandering, it's coming back to our breath, noticing the rhythm, noticing if you're holding the breath, noticing what it feels like to be breathing in line on your tummy. And allowing that left leg to come back, joining the right leg, and we're going to gently roll over onto our back. Coming back into the center of the mat. Tug those knees up into the chest. Maybe doing a few little circles one way, then the other way. You might want to do a figure 8 if you like. Completely optional. And then bringing the elbows down to the ground. Again, making like a 90-degree angle here. So you can bend those elbows and then just allow the knees to fall over to the left side. Maybe looking up still or looking over that right shoulder. Into that inclined spinal twist. And coming back to center. Even here, we're using that core. And then allowing the knees to fall over to the right side. Maybe looking over that left shoulder, or again, just looking straight up. We started our class with the twist, and now we're ending. Back to center, maybe having one last little hug. Those knees in. And then allowing the legs just to straighten out. Feet a little bit wider than hip distance. Hands maybe resting on the body. Or they can be next to you on the ground. Closing the eyes if that's comfortable. Just making any final adjustments you need to before our Shavasana. I'm just going to keep my hands on my body today. So I've got one hand over my tummy and the other one sort of over my ribs. And that can be helpful again when we're trying to focus on the breath. Feel that movement. Just giving yourself permission. This is an important time, important rest. And again, if the mind is wandering, what needs to be done, what else you could be doing, coming back, maybe following the breath, whether that be the movement, the up and down, or the in and the out of the air. Our focus gets better the more we practice. Yoga is always a practice. Each time you show up. And deepening the breath here. Maybe wiggling those toes. Bringing some small movements to the fingers, the hands, the feet. If you need to come out of Shavasana, maybe bringing those knees up, rolling onto one side. Of course, please stay in Shavasana if time allows you. Otherwise, coming into a seated position. Close our practice tonight. Keeping the eyes shut, a soft gaze down. And as we're sitting upright, just noticing how the body feels, how the mind feels. Giving gratitude for yourselves and for the people that shared the practice today. Thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure. And I hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful week. Thank you so much.